If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Today on Horse Chats, we've got another Equitana educator. We've got Sue Williams, and Sue is the president of the Ranch Horse Association in Australia, and she's going to talk to us about how she got started, but more importantly, how ranch horse riding within Australia got started. But before that, I'd just like to remind you that the vision of International Horse College is to have a world where people safely appreciate, respect and enjoy their horses, and the horses appreciate, respect and enjoy their people. Have a look at the wide variety of horse-friendly courses at internationalhorsecollege.com, registered training organisation 31352. Now, going back to Sue. Are you there, Sue? Welcome to Horse Chats.
Thanks, Glenys. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Sue, this is a pretty exciting new sport within Australia, isn't it? You know, when I first heard of it a couple of years ago, I thought, well, what's ranch horse riding? And I think I chatted to someone from the US, and they said that they'd been to Australia and there was a bit of interest. Whereas now it's like, I talk to people all the time. I was giving a cross-country lesson earlier this year, and I walked towards some new jumps, what I thought were new jumps at this particular place. I hadn't seen them before. And the person I was teaching said, oh, no, that's what we've got set up for ranch horse. And she said, as well as eventing, she said, I do ranch horse sometimes. So I thought, well, we've got to get, the president of the Ranch Horse Association on. So welcome to Horse Chats again. Yeah. Sue, I normally ask our guests about an inspirational quote. It could be something you say to yourself, something you say to others, something you've got hanging up on the wall, or, just something that reminds yourself every day, just about your values and where you came from. Have you got something for us?
Look, I don't have a quote per se, but I do believe in just be kind to your horse, be kind to your fellow competitors, be kind to each other. I mean, I find through the Ranch Horse Association particularly, or the ranch events, I've found, and look, going back, as you say, through my early years, I was raised to treat others as you would like to be treated. And I think that stayed very strong with me all through my life. And particularly, we don't know what's going on in people's lives, and not to prejudge and just be kind to people. We've all got our own issues. We've all got our own family problems. And I think it's very, it's just a good mantra for me is treat others as you'd like to be treated, I guess.
I think that just two words, be kind.
Be kind.
Mm. Yeah. There's another one that I like to say to people. You get two people and they're in a disagreement and she's wrong and I'm right and everything else. And I think the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you want to be kind or you want to be right?
Correct.
Maybe someone else is wrong, but they're very strong and very argumentative about it. And when it all boils down, you just want to be kind.
And respectful. Everyone's got a different opinion. Look
exactly.
at
Exactly.
the thing today in America. I mean, it's divided families. It's divided, so many people, and just be respectful. Everyone's got their own opinion. So
yeah. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Absolutely.
All right, now tell us about life before ranch riding.
My life before ranch riding. I come from a non-horsey family, so I have no idea where that came from. Where my love of horses came from. I know at school. And I'm going back to primary school. I lived in Charleville in Queensland for a lot of years, and I was a chronic asthmatic. I'm a Victorian by birth, lived there for 25 years. And as I was younger, I was about 4 or 5, my mother and father separated, and I was moved to Queensland because the climate for an asthmatic should have been better. But we were by the coast and it didn't help. So anyway, my mum ended up remarrying and we went to Charleville. And that's where I got my first horse at 9 years of age. And it was I have no idea what she was. I think she was a racehorse or something. But that was my love always. So I used to wag school and go and spend time with my horse. Like I was always, it was primary in my life. I used to ride my horse to school. So I had a wonderful childhood, with horses involved in it. My mother was a city girl, so she hated Charleville with red dirt and everything. So we ended up moving back to Melbourne, back to Victoria, and I got another horse when I was 13. I worked hard and I worked in a pet shop, saved some money, got a horse, and ended up being sold a couple of years later because I was still continuing to miss school and play with my horse too much. So then I went on to study. So a big gap. When I was about 25, I got back into horses. I bought a King Ranch horse and it was only broken into a hackamore, so it never had a bit in its mouth. I knew nothing, but gradually learned, pick people's brains. Back then we didn't have the choice of trainers to help us teach at the time. We could only look at those top-end people and pick their brains, I guess. So that's what happened, and I fell in love with the Western industry. Fast forward, I'll prattle on, so fast forward a few years, I ended up taking a horse for Cloverleaf Stud. Was very successful with that. I was very successful with my King Ranch horse and just gradually got into the show circuit. I showed hacks for a little while with him, but at the Western, really, I just enjoyed the more relaxed style of riding. So, just trained and became very successful. I remarried and my husband and I were trainers for 20 odd years then. I've been training for over 40 years, so I'm a mature aged woman now. And in 2012, I didn't like the way some of the horses were moving, and I saw a video in the States that was called ranch riding, and it just looked relaxed and the horses looked happy, and I followed it, and I was president of the New England Quarter Horse Association at the time. And so with the committee's approval, we started to run ranch events, and they just took off. And because it's an all breeds thing, and everyone just loved it, and it's morphed from there into a really big association now. We're growing. We've only been going for 2 years, but we've got over 700 members already. It's open to all breeds. So my whole life, I guess, was one of just it's morphed through my love of horses, and I did have a lot of success and ability with them, but they were not my whole aim with horses and training was to train the horse. It wasn't about the blue ribbons. It's only one man's opinion on the day or person's opinion on the day, and it was more for, I guess, challenging your own training and seeing whether you could be successful or not.
So I'm just wondering, your first event was run through the Quarter Horse Society, so it would have been quarter horses. I think it's quite open-minded, enterprising, whatever, to open up ranch riding to all breeds. Were you instrumental in that decision, or someone else, or did anyone object to that?
No, not at all, Glenys. In fact, I was a judging director with the AQHA for a number of years. I held a lot of different portfolios, showing performance. So I was on the board of the AQHA for 13 odd years. And we didn't even have our own rule book back in the day. And so, I've been through all that, rule book changes and setting up that judging system with an association. And so I'm quite familiar with that. And so therefore, when the Ranch Horse Association of Australia started, it was something that I was comfortable enough doing, even though there'd quite a few years had lapsed since I left the AQHA board. But it's, I knew the procedures basically.
So if someone is listening to the podcast and they've never heard of ranch riding, can you explain, well, first of all, what it is, what you need to be able to do if you're preparing for a ranch horse event, what you do to prepare and what you would expect on the event day?
A ranch horse is a horse. We use the arena as a demonstration, if you like, because we can't ride the horse out in a paddock and be judged. So it's really a horse that if you're wanting to go and get cattle and you've got a few thousand acres and you just want to jump on your horse, go get cows, the judge wants to see a horse that he would like to ride, that's comfortable, that's moving forward, that is keen on the job. So his ears are pricked, he's looking forward to doing the job, and that he's manoeuvrable, that he's broke, that he can stop, when you say stop, and you can guide him anywhere. He's good with other horses. He's not resentful. and he's got, a good work ethic, I guess. So in our rules, we don't allow things like hoof black or banding manes or false tails, or it's very much a workhorse event. And it's not a rider event per se, but obviously the overall appearance is important. But it is not an equitation class. It is not it's not a presentation class even, although your horse must be, brushed and clean. But we don't require all those things because it's a ranch horse. You don't paint their feet if you're going to go get cows. You don't put false tails in. So it's none of that. And I think that's what the appeal is to a lot of people, is that it's very much affordable. That's the other thing. They don't need expensive clothing or expensive silver saddles, or in fact, silver is discouraged in our event. So it's very much for the working person, for the working horse. Again, like I said, it's an all breeds association. So you can have a Welsh Mountain Pony that's really good around the place, or you can have a whatever other breed. We have a lot of stock horses. We have a lot of people moving over from different disciplines into ranch, simply because we have also levels of show. So you can go in a green horse or a green rider, move up to intermediate before you go to open. So we actually have quite a lot of divisions in the show ring that people can go in.
And just to do, and I know it's all breeds, but is it all disciplines or all types of equipment? Is it, you need specific type saddle, specific type bridle, or can you have any type of saddle, as in an English saddle or a stock saddle or a Western saddle? Just tell me a little bit about the equipment that's required and also the clothing that's expected.
Good question, Glenys. Okay, so let's start off with equipment. We have a class now that we've introduced. The AQHA introduced it a couple of years ago. It's called a heritage ranch class. So heritage being, you cannot use a Western saddle. It's mainly for fenders or stock saddles, and also ridden two-handed in a snaffle bridle. So that was put in to encourage people from other disciplines that may just have a stock saddle, or particularly, camp draft people or whatever, to give it a try without the expense of buying a Western saddle in case they don't like it. So we have all the range of equipment and we do have in our rule book, we do have different equipment requirements for different classes as you proceed through the training divisions, if that makes sense. So once you get into an open division, then you must ride one-handed according to a horse's age. So once a horse is 6 and over, you're expected to ride one-handed in a curb bit. So anything under that, it can vary with your junior horse, or the age of your horse then is governed by what equipment or what bit you use. But also a Western saddle is required in those classes. So a saddle with a horn, whereas in your heritage classes, they don't have a saddle horn. So, in our trail class, for example, they're not required to drag anything or rope anything because they don't have a horn on their saddle.
Okay, and you said the one class, the heritage class with the fender. Is there a class with English saddles or not yet? Or
no, not yet. It's mainly for the heritage is more stock or half breed, whatever saddles for that. Yeah. With your clothing, I've got a Western hat on now, so a helmet obviously is required for youth 18 and under. After that, you can wear a Western hat or whatever. It's just a hat. A long sleeve button down shirt, jeans, and boots is required. Western boots are required. So chaps aren't mandatory, chinks aren't mandatory. So it's really just work gear basically, and no bling, no silver, embellishments or flowery stuff, I guess.
yeah. Now I know you're talking at Equitana on Thursday, but you've got something else going on Thursday before you're speaking at Equitana, aren't you?
Yeah, we have a Ranch Horse Invitational, which is a first for us. And we're so proud to be able to be invited to present it down there at Equitana and preach to the general public and other horse enthusiasts. So this event is it's a bit of a versatility. It's just a one event. They'll be showing the different facets of what a ranch horse can do. So it will incorporate a few trail obstacles. It will incorporate some circles, large, fast, small, slow, lead changes. We are on grass, so we've got to be very mindful of safety. So there won't be any big sliding stops or anything that the reiners do. But again, we're going to just try and give people an overview. I'll be doing the announcing. So we'll be talking about the different obstacles that they're doing and why they're doing them. So there will be like a drag where, for instance, if you're out in the paddock and you've got to, catch a cow. So we'll have roping there. So they've got to rope a head off a dummy. So there's a roping included. There's a drag. So let's say you've roped a calf, you've dallied it up, and you've got to drag it over to be branded. This is the old way of the ranch horse. Obviously, it all originates in America. In this country, we're stock horse orientated and it's totally different. We can crack a whip, but we're probably not great at throwing a rope like they are, But we incorporate all those things and they're great fun events to do. So this event is, like I said, they'll have to go over a bridge, they side pass, they back through things. It's very much a show of manoeuvrability. And even though this is a competition, it is also a demonstration of what our horses can do. So we've tried to invite 10 of our, reasonably well-credentialed people. They all had to apply and there was a panel and these 10 people have been selected from those applicants to come and compete at Equitana, which is a great showplace for them.
I was just going to ask you about, how can people go there? You've already selected the applicants. How were they selected?
We opened it to everybody, so we weren't just, picking and choosing, and it wasn't a personal preference. It was selected on their performances, basically, in the show pen leading up to that, because we want to try and show to the general public the best of what we can, and these people have all got very well credentialed horses and they've got results and they've done quite well. We did have a couple pull out through lameness and horse injuries and stuff, but generally the panellists, they looked at all the nominations and all their resumes and basically picked these people from those applicants.
It's good to know that the public can go and see, though, what's possible. These are the best. Let's see what's possible. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Now, tell us just a bit of a summary about what you're speaking about on Thursday.
Thursday, like I said, that will be following the competition. So I'm straight after, I think it's about 10:45 or something. So it's straight after the competition. And we will be talking about, because the obstacles will still be in the arena and the discussion is still in that arena, we'll be talking about how to train your horses to do those obstacles. We'll be talking about what the judge would be looking for in the execution of those obstacles, and also generally what is a ranch horse and what is he required to do outside of the arena. So, as I said, with the drag, with the roping, and we'll explain, in a lot more depth what the requirements are. And also, I think we'll have that opportunity to talk to the general public about the divisions of our sport and how you can go in that. We even have a green rider class, which is simply a walk trot class. So it's it's quite exciting.
And that's in the Titan Rail Arena at Town Square. If people are sort of just getting to Equitana, just head over there first thing in the morning. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. Yes, yeah, it'll be an early start for most, but yeah, we look forward to seeing everybody there because if you don't know anything about it, you've heard it, now you can see it. And
yes.
Like I said, it's open to all breeds. There's different clubs popping up all over the place. I've given clinics around the country for the last probably, 10 years, I guess, in ranch, and the phenomenal response to those clinics has knocked my socks off. But Glenys, I might say one thing here. This isn't all about, I give clinics about training and what ranch is all about and so forth. But what I see a lot of is ladies, many, many ladies, wish we had more men, but we do have quite a few blokes coming in now because we do have those blokey things. We've got the ranch, we've got the cattle events, we've got the roping, we've got a lot of variety in our sport. But a lot of these clinics are for ladies that have maybe had horses and been riding as young people. They then have babies, husbands' careers. You know, as women, we tend to follow our husbands for a long time, support them. Then, you know, we get the empty nesters. And a lot of these ladies are in their 50s and they've lost their confidence. They haven't ridden for a lot of years, but they want to get back into it. They may have a bit more money now that they can spend on themselves. So it becomes more a community of people who all of a sudden maybe have lost their identity a little bit. They come together in these clinics and they talk to each other. They start off, no one knows each other. By the end of it, they're all changing names and numbers, and all of a sudden they don't feel so alone in the world and they feel more connected. And the fact also that we teach them how to control their horses better and how to guide their horses better, they get a lot more. You can almost see their self-esteem build over a 2-day clinic because they're all of a sudden they're more in control of everything. And I think understanding how a horse works and being able to get the horse to do certain things that they couldn't before, it empowers them a little bit in their own confidence. And certainly as humans, I think that what I love to see as a clinician is the camaraderie that comes out of these seminars, these clinics that are just phenomenal. It's lovely.
And then I think, you know, just to add to that, to then, if they're preparing for an event, knowing that there's a walk trot event that they can go to. You know, just something that they're saying, I can go out and I can keep practicing and get better and better at an event that I'm happy to compete in.
You bet. Yes. And we found there wasn't a lot of places for people to go in the Western field with that. You know, we have our breed associations, but they're a little more restrictive. You know, they've got now novice classes and stuff like that, but we found that by having these green rider walk trot classes, the AQHA do have walk trot Western pleasure classes, but we've also put them now, and then we've got an intermediate class, which is we don't have anywhere else. So we felt there was a big gap between the beginner and the show rider, that they didn't know where to go after that. You know, once they get past that beginner walk trot, they want somewhere else to go, but they're not ready for the open competition. So that's why we've created what we've created.
I think that's great, you know, just more progressive. Yeah. And then on Friday, tell us about what you're going to say then on Friday.
Friday, I'm hoping to make it more about a training session, probably a little less about the obstacles. They'll be gone by then. So we'll be talking about certainly the different events in ranch riding. So ranch riding as a heading is fine, but within that ranch riding discipline, we have different things. So we have what's called an event called Ranch on the Rail, which is everyone's all in together. And it's just like a Western pleasure class. It's a group class, but these horses must be judged on forward movement. So it's not about how slow they go. It's not how fast they go either, but it's more about looking for a horse that I'd like to ride over country to get to the herd of cattle that I'm going to bring back in. I want to see a horse that's smooth at the trot, that I can put it into an extended trot. They get asked to extend all their paces. So they can extend the walk, they can extend the trot, they can canter, they extend the canter or the lope in Western terms. So that's a ranch on the rail class. So that's what we call a subjective class. So that's just one judge. His opinion on the day is the one that he would like to ride, and he places them from that. The other event we have is a ranch trail class, obviously over obstacles. It's not timed. It's just as they approach, you know, they're judged on their approach to the obstacle, their departure on the obstacle. We have ranch reining, which is like the normal reining classes, but not as, not as probably precise. We don't need horses sliding 30 feet in ranch because why? If you're running beside a cow and you're wanting it to get back to the herd, if you're still sliding, it'll be stopped way back there. So it's not going to be practical. So we just want a practical horse that can turn around, it can spin, it can stop, and it can manoeuvre easily, and very much the same as long as it's willfully guided and comfortable. We've also then got all our cattle classes as well. So we've got a cow work where they work a cow. We've got a box drive box where they hold a cow one end, they drive it up the other end, they hold it at that end, and then they bring it halfway back again. So the cattle part of our Ranch Horse Association is developing. It's not huge at the moment, only because of venues aren't always able to cater for the cattle, but certainly it's one of our important parts of a ranch horse, obviously. that the horse can has a bit of cow sense. But then again, like I said, you've got your other levels, which are your dry events where they don't need to work cattle. Some horses aren't cow horses. Some are. An overall ranch horse should be able to do all those things, at the end of the day. But because we've got those divisions, that's where we've got our different entries. We've also got a ranch confirmation class, which is a confirmation class. So it's a lead class, and it's always held at the end of the show. So that, and the reason, when we first started this, people would say, why? Well, horses are nice and clean at the beginning. Why would you? And it's simply because, again, this is to see that the horse is still sound after a day's work on the ranch, so that you are looking for a slightly different type of horse. You're looking probably for a stronger boned animal, still with the same conformational correctness, but you're looking for a horse that is going to last all day and on a good foot, and that he's got good straight legs, that he's got good bone. He's not going to break down halfway through your work, So all those things come into the confirmation. So when the confirmation class is on at the end of the day, yes, the horse is going to have sweaty marks from the saddle pads. It just shows that he's been ridden. And one of the requirements of the confirmation class is that the horse must have been ridden in one of the events during the day, not just a pretty horse brought out just for the lead class. He must be a rider. Okay, so that's one of our rules. We've also got a ranch roping class, which is new to us. We're not a country of natural ropers. We've got great ropers in this country, but it's not like a second nature to us. So we're introducing the ranch roping, the ranch boxing, and we've also, one of our new events is our ranch prospect lunge line. So people with young horses that want to do ranch, but we cannot show a 3-year-old a horse under 3 under saddle. So the horse must be 3-year-old. So to keep those people involved, we've introduced the ranch prospect classes. So that's for yearlings, 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. So they can all go in those lead classes, and it's over obstacles. So there's a prospect trail. So they lead them over a bridge, lead them through side paths or a back through. So it's getting the horse exposed before he's under saddle.
Yep.
And then we have a lunge line, which is judged on the movement.
So it's not just great training and progression for the riders, it's great training and progression for the horses as well.
Absolutely. The horses can do if horses can go in ranch, and I think you asked me right at the very beginning of this interview, Glenys, you said, what do people have to do? What do the horses have to do to go in ranch? If they can walk, if they can trot, and then do a rising trot or extended trot. It doesn't have to be dressage extension. It's nothing like that. It's just a lengthening of the stride. So if they can do an extended trot and they can lope or canter, same thing, and extend the canter. So if they can move the horse out, bring it back, all those sorts of things, back up, that's all they need to do. But then within that, we have a rule book on our website. We've got everything on our website that people want to know about is really there. So there's a bigger description. I could talk all day.
I think it's just a really interesting topic, and I think if people are more interested, they can see you at one of the sessions on at Equitana. But also to have a look at your website. We'll talk about that in a minute. It'll be on horsechats.com, and just go to horsechat.com. You can search for Sue or search for Williams. You'll get all those details there. But meanwhile, Sue, before we actually finish, is there anything I should have asked you, or anything else that you'd like our listeners to know about ranch horse riding before we go?
I probably, this is a little bit of self-promotion here, but I've got a series of YouTube videos that my dear friend Penny Webb and myself, Penny's secretary of the Ranch Horse Association, and very much a driver of this association, I must say. No agenda, just love to see the sport increasing. We've got over 700 members now, which is fabulous for an association that's only been going 2 years. We had at our AGM, and this is unheard of, but we had 78 people on our Zoom meeting at our AGM, which is unheard of. Normally you're pulling teeth to get people to go to AGMs. But so the interest's phenomenal. But I would like to say, for those that may be interested in doing ranch, there's lots of stuff on YouTube. I have about 32-something videos that Penny did purely on the phone, really, during COVID. Everyone was in lockdown. No one could move. We couldn't do anything. And she said, why don't you video what you teach me? Why don't you, do videos of that? And I'm like, yeah. But there you go. So it sort of morphed into, so basically we started to do a series of videos on dress, on gear, on training, on just everything to do with ranch. And we actually describe a lot of the ranch events and demonstrate the ranch events so that you can see what a trail class looks like, what a ranch pleasure looks like, what a, ranch reining looks like. So it's all on my videos. So that's just, if you just Google Sue Williams equine versatility or just Sue Williams, it'll come up and you'll see the YouTube videos. Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of the YouTube channel? Is it under Sue Williams?
I think it's Sue Williams Equine Versatility.
Okay. I think that's great. Now, if people would like to know more details, they can go to, as I said before, horsechats.com, search for Sue, search for Williams, and you'll find all those details. Now, Sue, how do you prefer to be contacted? Is it by phone, by text, email?
Probably, I'm not great with returning phone calls, so probably email and text is great. I'm sort of look at my phone a lot, but yeah, I'm just pretty busy, so I don't always return calls, I hate to say.
Yeah, and we'll put those details at the bottom of that page as well. Okay. Thank you, Sue. I've really enjoyed this, and I certainly know more about ranch riding now. And look forward to seeing the introduction to ranch riding Thursday morning at Equitana and listening to you on Thursday and Friday. So thank you.
Thanks, Glenys, and appreciate the invitation and love your podcast.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.